G'day people, big thanks to my friend Jan who loaned me her Bernina 1100DA for me to thread it. When I got this machine from Jan, it hadn't been used for a long time, and I could tell that the machinery was actually very, very dry and stiff. So it was cleaned and oiled before I worked on it, but you will hear some squeaking happening. A long time without being cleaned and oiled will do that to a machine, and it really needs a bit of running to get it sewing smoothly again. Let's get started. I'm going to thread the machine using the colours that are indicated on the machine. So red for the lower looper, blue for the upper looper, green for the right needle and yellow for the left needle. In each case the threads come over the top of the telegraphed piece from the back to the front. I haven't got that all the way up at the moment because it's not fitting under my cupboards, but you would normally have this extended the entire way up to sew with it. Here in the front, before I start actually threading, I need to get the blade out of the way, and I do that by pulling across to the right and lifting it, and it's now not getting in the way of what I'm doing. It is also possible to move the foot out of the way, and if you are hand threading the needles, that makes sense. I'm going to use the needle threader on this machine, so I won't be doing that. A couple of other things to know: these use normal 705 needles. If you are putting new needles into these machines, the groove is at the front, and the needle on the right will be slightly lower than the needle on the left. That is normal. You push them as far up as possible within the machine. On the flywheel there is a mark there, and in order for all the things to go correctly, as they should during your threading, that needs to match up with the mark on the machine. There is also a like braille arrow showing you that this moves in the direction where you come over the top towards the front. I'm going to begin with the upper looper thread, which is the one that goes first on these machines. Bring the thread down from the back and hold it like you're going to be flossing. Put it under and pull up. Give it a bit of a jiggle and then down the front. So it's the same with all four of these threads. Hold it like you're going to floss, under, make sure it's in, and then over the top. When the threads come forward, they hang down in these grooves. That's where they're supposed to be. To open the front cover, pull it to the right and down. There is a threading guide within the front cover. We're now going to follow what the blue threading guide is telling us to do. To begin with, I'm going to leave the foot up, which means that the tension discs are open. I'm going to thread the blue one first, which is the lower looper, and on this machine that's the one that it's necessary to do first. So I'm going to bring my blue thread down and flick it from right to left through that guide, and then left to right through the next guide. There's a wire here that has got two guides on it. At the back there is a blue guide, at the front there is a red guide. Bring your thread underneath that and up, and it will go into the one at the back. The next one that is marked blue is this one. We go underneath it and then bring it around and out of the front, and that's taken it through that little pigtail. The next guide is this one up here next to the shaft. We go behind it and over to the left, and then that one's coming straight out. And from there we need to thread the eye of the looper. It's in a bit of a bad spot, so I'm going to move that out of the way in the hope that you can now see the eye of the looper. Thread into my tweezers and through the looper and pull it through to the back. With overlockers and sergers, it's a good idea to then just check, have I got it caught around something I shouldn't? That's a guide, 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 that's a guide. Yes, we've got it all right. I will take the thread under the foot and over to the left. The foot of my machine is still up and I'm ready to do the lower looper. So I'm going to take the thread down and to the right of that guide and the right of that guide. This is where we now get a bit tricky with this one. To put the blue one in at the back, we went underneath. To put the red one in at the front, we go over the top. And then through the pigtail, and we're out. After we're through that little pigtail, push the white knob down. You'll be able to see a red guide go around it to the left, and that will hold it in that place. Then there is a little piece here for it to go through. Once you are through that small slit there, lift the white knob back up and use your tweezers to thread through the lower looper. Now that thread has just got caught around this. So like I said, pays to make sure you haven't got caught around something random. So we're going from that guide to the pigtail. The guide there was the loop that we had temporarily, and now we've gone through the eye of the looper. Come across and the thread over to the left. The green thread is coming down from the tension disc through under the guide that is right next to these two. But you're going to follow the green guide, which is the first one, and come back down. There is then a little guide just under this green dot, and then there are two guides that are over the needles. We're going to come from the back around and to the front on the first pigtail, the one on the right. It's now time to use the needle threader on the machine. If your particular machine doesn't have a needle threader, check out the video I've got up there about how to use the separate needle threaders that are available. But the needle threader doesn't work unless the foot is down. So I'm going to put it in and put it down. I go under and across, and this part of the threader will hold the thread. Make sure that we're pulled to the front because that's for doing the right needle, and then press. And it has taken a loop of thread through to the back. And now I grab hold of that loop of thread at the back. I can lift the foot and put the thread under the foot, making sure it's not caught on anything. When you're doing the bits at the top, you have to have the foot up so the tension discs are open. When you're threading the needle, you have to have the foot down. For the left needle, bring the thread down to the yellow dot, under, up, around and over the very top one. Then you need to go to the far left to meet the yellow dot, and then we're going through the pigtail on the left. So we take the thread to the back of it and around. Now it's time to do the needle threader. I need to put the foot down and make sure that lever is at the back so that we are threading the left hand needle under the hook, under there, and then press down. Assuming everything was right, you just grab the loop at the back. Lift the foot and take the thread around the foot and out to the side. Put the foot down. I am now going to hold all the threads and give a tug on each one at the back, and the reason I do that is to make sure that these threads are all bedded down into the tension discs. I can then put the blade down, so pull it over to the right, turn it around and put it down, and then I'm going to hold the threads on the left and wind the machine, the flywheel, towards me. And I should start seeing in here, which is going to be really difficult for you to see in the film, but I will start seeing the threads chaining on the pins and things in there. And that's how you thread a Bernina 1100DA. I haven't got to the point of sewing with it yet. That's for a future video. I'll see you next time.